You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
All right, let's go to our Education Matters segment. Due to the pandemic, kids across the nation are attending school remotely, and parents aren't necessarily thrilled with how their kids are being taught. Some parents have removed their kids from public schools and placed them in private institutions. Some parents have gone as far as moving to different states so that their kids can attend school in person. This is great for those who can afford it, but for those who usually can't are those in Black and Hispanic communities. So joining me to discuss this further is Sarah Carpenter, Executive Director of the Memphis Lift, Dr. Howard Fuller, Civil Rights Activist and Education Reform Advocate, Delvin Champagne, School Choice Advocate, and Margaret Fortune, President and CEO of Fortune School. Now, Howard, I would like to start with you. Would you say that public schools are failing minority students? And is the Biden administration the answer?
Well, let me answer the second part of it first. No administration is the answer, least of all the Biden administration. And I say that because Biden, to me, has essentially sold out to the teachers union. And as long as I've been at this, I can say for certainty that anybody who has sold out to the teachers union, whatever policies that they pursue in general, are not going to be in the interests of our students. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that this issue of our kids going back to school and not going back to school is not a simple answer. And the reason why it's not simple is because the first thing I think we have to be concerned about is the health of not just our kids, but the kids' families, the people who serve meals, the people who drive buses, all of the Black people who have all of a sudden become essential workers and have had their health put at risk so the rest of us can be on Zoom. So even though I understand the difficulty of making that decision around sending kids back to school, I don't want us to sit here and think that it's a simple issue of y'all just need to go back to school. And because I'm saying, and I'll say it very clearly, until it is clear that it is safe for all of the people involved for our kids to go back to school, we need to be very leery of that. And the one thing that I know is that schools that serve poor Black and brown kids, they're not likely to have all of the resources that they need to make sure that it's safe to go back to school.
Now, Howard, what you're saying, a lot of teachers would agree with you. I'm not sure if you saw this picture was circling around of a Chicago teacher, a Chicago public school teacher, who was sitting outside of the school building in the snow because he felt like it wasn't safe for him to teach inside of the building. I think he had just had a newborn child. And so essentially he wanted to protect his health, the health of his child, the health of his wife, and felt like it wasn't something, he didn't want to put their health in jeopardy. But a lot of people are concerned, right? A lot of people are concerned about their health, but it's also the students, right? Students right now who come from, let's say, Baltimore City Public Schools, where I taught, where they weren't learning what they were supposed to be learning in the first place. They were already behind. And now they're on Zoom, and they're even further behind than where they should be. So, Margaret, I'm going to address you. What's the solution? What needs to be done? There are pros and cons to both sides here.
I think it's a toxic mix of the politics and the public health facts. And I'm in a state, California, where most of the schools have been shut down. You have a coordination of the big city superintendents and the teachers union to say that we're not going back to school until everybody is vaccinated. The Governor Newsom, is facing a recall that is in part fueled by the inability to get schools back open. But as a school leader myself, I run a school system with 2,300 kids. 65% of them are African American. Opening and closing school is no simple matter. And what we've done, at least in this state, is to put schools in a position where they open up, they close back down. There's lack of clarity about what the direction that the state is going in and that the county is going in. And yet you have schools that have put serious safety precautions in place to make returning to school safe for kids and for teachers. For example, universal testing programs, making sure that the heating and air conditioning units are hospital grade to kill infection. Kids being, having the temperature checks at the door, training around contact tracing. So I think that what's happening in our state is that there's a ramp up in terms of vaccination, in terms of identifying where vaccinations are going to happen, but we don't actually have the vaccine. So the last thing I'll say on this is that there's a timing issue. Biden has set as a priority to get schools reopened within his first 100 days. Well, his 100 days ends at about near the end of April. So are we going to open up schools just to shut them back down for the summer? I think that what is likely to happen in places where schools are not open is that schools are going to be gearing up for opening in the fall. And I think that we should be fully prepared to open in the fall, whether that's hybrid or in-person socially distanced.
Delvin, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts? Do you believe that kids should be going back to school now, or we should wait? Delvin, are you on mute?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yes, sorry. So here in Maryland, the governor just gave a pretty much a mandate for schools to open back up by March 1st. But I think that that schools, that the local schools should partner with the state and they should try to be as accommodating to students, especially students with special needs, IEP students with English as a second language, and we call them farm free and reduced meal students. I think that it's important that we focus on those students first because they are the ones that have the lowest proficiency and they're more at risk for lower outcomes going forward.
Sarah, what are your thoughts when it comes to especially minority kids who are already behind their white counterparts? And right now, when it comes to using Zoom, it's really not functional for a lot of schools and for a lot of students where they may not, for example, have the best Wi-Fi. Or I know when I was teaching last year, some of the students, they weren't required to have on their cameras or to participate in class. So you don't know whether the kid is there, if they're asleep, they're somewhere else. You don't know if they're retaining the information. And so obviously in person could be a lot better. But right now, obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. But what do you think should be done in the immediate?
Well, we surveyed like over 1,000 parents, and we believe in parents' choice. And the day our district announced that they're going to open back up March the 1st, but we are demanding a crystal clear safety plan. And I want to piggyback on what Margaret said, that, we got to have the safety measures in place. It's tough on parents. We talk to parents every day. And it's parents getting frustrated. The children are getting frustrated. But we want our children to be safe because we know that COVID have hit the Black and brown community in a major way. And personally, it hit my family also. So I know my boys are ready to go back to school because they don't want to be at home with grandma because I'm always like, get online. Are you online? What class you in? And I'm on them, So we work for parents and we surveyed our parents and they want to make the choice if they want to send their children back to school. So that's what we push for, to let the parents make the choice if they want to send their children back to school. But me, myself, I don't know about my grandchildren going back to school and coming back to me because I have underlying issues.
Okay, and like you, Sarah, a lot of people are in that condition. And like you said, COVID has hit the minority communities, the Black and brown communities the most. And safety does come first. And a lot of people are saying Biden trying to send kids back to school in his first 100 days is a big mistake, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So thank you so much. Again, that's Sarah Carpenter, Executive Director of the Memphis Lift, Dr. Howard Fuller, Civil Rights Activist and Education Reform Advocate, Delvin Champagne, School Choice Advocate, and Margaret Fortune, President and CEO of Fortune School. We will continue this conversation.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.